Good evening and welcome to the Late Late Show with me, Irish Tommy. As always, thanks for joining. And as usual, I'm going to have some guests on to discuss all things West Ham. And we're going to start with a new face, a new guest. Very excited to bring him to you. You all know who he is. It's the man himself, Jazz.
How you doing? How you doing, everyone? Thank you, Tommy, for having me on. So, yeah, my debut. I'm excited, mate. Yeah. Tommy's broken the world record to sign me. The negotiations went on for 4 months, didn't it, Tommy? And then you caved into my wages, didn't you, in the end? And
You're a tough guy to break down.
It's my agent. No blame's the agent, mate. He's kind of, what he's like. But
yeah, my lawyer's fees went through the roof and everything. It was crazy. Looked like it mightn't happen, but then we had a late breakthrough, and here you are. So all's well. It's cost me a lot of money, but all's well that ends well. No time will be worth it. So no pressure, Jazz.
No, that's fine, mate. No, pleasure, mate. Look forward to it.
That's right. Just got to deliver now.
Yeah, and I'm on the Jameson tonight. Run out of rum, mate. So that's quite ironic, really. I'm on the show with you, and I'm on Jameson, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, good stuff. This man needs no introduction. You all know him very well on the show. Luke, how are you, bud?
I'm all right. Jury's out on a new signing now. I'm not going to lie. I've heard various things about him, but I'm not entirely sure whether he's going to be a good addition to the squad. But just play him in cup games and give him a bit of experience. We'll see how we go. But
I had been warned.
We keep the ship going, mate. So we'll see how we go. But
I have been warned that he has a tendency to nod off.
But Jez just reminded me that we can drink alcohol in this. So if you don't mind me, I'm going to grab my beer. Actually,
you crack on, mate. You do what you like.
Crack on, mate. Crack on.
Could get quite lively in here, Jazz.
I tell you, you never know. But I'm a lot more calmer these days. I like to think, but you never know, mate. You never know. Yeah, there's a fire in there somewhere, isn't there, all the time?
Well, we've still got James to come, so it's only going to get worse.
He's picking what cap to put on, mate. That's what he's doing.
He's just rifling through. He's worse than a woman. He's rifling through his cap collection. Can't fucking decide which one goes with his top the best.
That's it, mate. He lives on Australian, New Zealand time, so this is morning for him. He's going to be awake and lively, mate. Yep.
That's it. Before we get started, and while Luke is getting a beverage, we're going to see who's in the chat real quick. Troj, good to see you, mate. How are you? Also got usual suspect is in as always. Barry Clark, evening, mate. Hope you're well. Hang the traitors. How's it going, Tommy? Very good. Wasim is in. Good to see you. Maltese Hammer in the house. Cool. Barry Clark giving a shout out to you there, mate, Jazz.
Hi, mate. Hi.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have many more. Oh, wait, we've got one more. Here we go. We've got Black Country Hammer is in. Welcome, mate. Cheers for joining. Luke's back, and the man himself is here. He's picked out a hat. He's ready to go.
Yeah. You know me too well, mate. I'm a fashion sense. So.
You got 6 in the wash, they haven't dried out. That was the only dry one left.
I need those hats, to be fair. I like the old fresh ego.
Yeah, man. Other hats are available.
Luke, I was in Amsterdam yesterday, and Heineken out there is amazing, mate. I don't drink a lot of beer, but Heineken in Amsterdam's
I can only really drink Heineken out of a can. I'm one of those people now. I've realised now that every different beer has a different taste. I got told off the other day because I completely writ off Managerial. I'm not a fan of Managerial. And apparently, if I drink it out of a can, I can't judge it. I have to wait till it's poured in a glass in a pub. So I don't know whether I want to waste your money on an experiment if someone out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I've been over for 4 games this season. Myself and Sinead have been over. My son Jason as well has come over. I've gone to the pub and that. I've basically tried to pick something I hadn't really heard of. I drink lager, basically. And I just would pick something from the bar, that I hadn't heard of, I didn't really know of much of, just to try them all out and see what they're like. Some nice brews over there in London.
Was that a free sample in there to me, or was you paying for all these experimental tips?
No, they're on draft. They're in the bear. They're probably familiar to you lot. I don't know. But,
Yeah, I ain't tried Stripperman yet, so I've got to try that one soon.
That was yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's on Europe, isn't it? That one, I think. Czech, is it? I don't know.
Not sure. No idea.
I'll be from there.
Yeah, not sure. Okay, so let's crack on. So you all saw the header. Are our players on the beach already? Obviously, look, mentally, there's going to be some kind of come down when you get knocked out of Europe like that. A lot of disappointment. And obviously, as well, it's coming towards the end of a long season. Plus, it's I think the expectation from everyone, including the players, I'd imagine, now is that David Moyes is likely not going to get a new contract. We're looking at new managers. The performance against Palace was incredibly flat, lifeless. Tiredness, I'm sure, plays some part, but I don't think it accounts entirely for how bad we were. They just looked like a group of players who would just cash their chips in. And that's the worry I have. Hopefully a big game against Liverpool tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, early afternoon, the early kickoff tomorrow. Maybe that will change attitudes, and plus the fact that they've had a week between games. But for you, Jazz, I mean, is there a worry that given everything that's happened this last kind of week and a half, is there a worry for you that the players will just lose their intensity, their drive? Doesn't look like we're going to make Europe through the league now. Is there a worry for you that the players are going to think, what is there left to play for? Not even the manager at this point really to play for anymore, is there?
Yeah, I mean, after the Leverkusen game, I might have said it on James's show, I felt there was 4 points we could get, 3 at Luton, maybe 1 at Palace. So I'll stick with that. I think the only points that we're going to get are from the Luton game. The players, I'm not going to blame anyone. They're tired, same as the fans. We're physically, mentally really tired. And I think a lot of them have been playing with injuries. I think Bowen was not fit for any of those games he's recently played. And obviously, yeah, he didn't have a sort of part to play in the last game. So I think I don't know where they're going to pull anything out from. There's nothing on the bench. We're playing with a squad of 12, 13 players. A lot of them are injured, like I said. I can't see anything going, even though I know teams in and around, they obviously no one wants to grab that 7th, 8th spot. I mean, they're all losing. So it's just bigger shame, innit? Because I can see all the points we've dropped since January. And even if we had 6 in the bag from all those games, God, we could have still been up there. And that goes back to how poor the league is. If only we'd picked up, 2-3 games since Christmas, and we would have been still in 7th or in there, really. So for me, I can see 3 points, Tommy, till the end of the season. And I'm not gonna blame the players, mate. They're tired, mate. They've played injured. A lot of them are still injured, and they know the manager's more or less out the door, mate. So what is the motivation? I don't know, apart from respect to the fans, I suppose. I mean, like I said, my son's a season ticket holder. He's given a ticket to someone else. This is Liverpool at home. I had a ticket for Leverkusen. I gave it to my other son. I didn't want to go. It's just weird times, mate. I hate to say it. Yeah, my heart, my sort of love and passion is a little bit on the floor until we get the new manager, and then I'll be back to the normal Jazz again, I'm afraid, yeah.
James, any worries about what the motivation is now for the players in these final 4 games?
Not at all, mate. When West Ham lose and get hammered, they always come back with a vengeance. And I think this tomorrow's game, you're going to be quite surprised. I had a Liverpool fan on earlier on who's not convinced that they're going to do anything against us tomorrow. He actually called a 2-1 win for West Ham. So, listen, last week was bad. It was really bad. A week's rest will do us a world of good. They've played on Wednesday night in an intense derby against Everton. They've lost that. They lost against Palace. And if we can get Bowen back in this side and make sure that Mavropanos is fit, then we've got half a chance. If we've got a front 4 of Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus and Antonio, then we've definitely got half a chance of doing something. I'm not saying beat them, but I'm saying not lose to them. So, I make mine short and sweet. It's the West Ham way, ladies and gentlemen. We lose 1 week and then we go and beat Liverpool the following week. So I hope that comes true.
Yeah, so you've got no worries about motivation? You think they'll keep going?
No. Yeah, they're going to keep going to the end. And listen, if it is Moyes' final season, which is looking likely, they're going to give it all to the end, aren't they, for him? They ain't going to down tools now. They were down tools 6 months ago. So, yeah, I think they're going to give it all, everything to the end. Whatever we get from there to the end of the season is a different story, though, isn't it? So
yeah, but James, don't you think last week was down tools though, in a kind of way?
I just think it was a lot of everything, mate. I think everyone's had enough. I think the players have had enough. I think Moyes had enough. The problem is when you're getting linked to managers like Lopetegui, people are starting to see about the owners of the club now. And at last, people are starting to wake up and realise that, listen, you can go and get another manager. I'm all for that. But it's the owner who picks the manager. And if he picks Lopetegui, I've been spot on for the last 5 months. And I can't
see Liverpool losing tomorrow, especially because of the 2 results, 1 or 2 results they've had. I don't know.
Yeah,
they're always up for playing us, aren't they? More or less, and we'll see.
So we'll see what happens there.
Luke, any worries in your part?
I agree with the boys. Just reiterate what they're saying. The other thing about it is that, as James just mentioned there, that the managers been getting linked with. I think Amorim was, a fantastic manager to be linked with, but it's kind of a pipe dream. It's, if he comes off, it'll be the best manager we could have for, well, we're talking, 5, 10 years. I think where the club is at, it'd be a massive coup. Probably this is a bigger appointment than any player we could sign, because the manager will determine how good the players are, like when they come in, how he uses them, stuff like that. Where I'm coming from, I know that we've said about Lopetegui and stuff like that. He's underwhelmed a lot of fans, and I think mainly because we got linked with Amorim. I think if we hadn't been linked with him, I think fans would be a bit more open to different managers. But from a personal point of view, I'm not really going to moan about who we hire as a new manager unless they play the same style as Moyes, because I've been stating for a little while back, well, not just me, a few other people as well, but mainly myself, saying that, many managers could probably get more out of this squad than Moyes has been over the last year and a bit. So I'm not going to suddenly go, I don't want this guy because he's not as good as so-and-so, because if I'm going to stand there and go, Moyes out, Moyes out, Moyes out, and then get paid off with who they hire, based on the fact that they could be hiring someone who's technically
but that has to be a standard, though, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm saying from our
point of view. And Lopetegui is not that standard, my friend. But I'm going to be honest, 5 months ago, January the 11th, on a Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, I put a tweet out and said, watch this space, Lopetegui will be West Ham's next manager. And I'm very, very close to cashing in on this geezer. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, Lou, this is not a statement manager. This is a free agent who's available that no one else wants, and he needs a job. That's what is that? Is that what West Ham's become now? A free agent.
It's got Sullivan written all over it, that one.
It has, mate. And when people keep saying about Stein's going to pick the next manager, Stein's going to pick the manager, like, people got to stop lying. Just stop fucking lying to the public, right? Because Sullivan will not allow that to happen. And I've said it for a long, long time. And it's like I'm smashing my face up against the wall. Yeah? Like, if Lopetegui, for me, is not a next level manager, Almiron is next level manager. Yeah? Or if you want to go down a route of long-term vision, yeah, go and get a younger manager and build over the next 5 years. Lopetegui's 57 years of age, right? I'm not being funny or nothing. If you're going to not call David Moyes a dinosaur, give it 3 years to be calling him a dinosaur and all. So, for me, it's not the right move, mate, but it's Sullivan. I've always said it, and I stand by it to the day I go, mate.
Yeah, I mean, is there a worry for you, Luke? Things could come to a head. I mean, I'm not an insider, I'm not an ITK, but some of the noises coming out of the club are a little bit worrying, that there is a clash between Steidten and Sullivan. That Sullivan wants Lopetegui. How do you pronounce Lopetegui?
Yeah, Lopetegui. Yeah,
Lopetegui. Okay, Lopetegui.
Yeah, he's a tongue twister. He's a tongue twister. I know.
Who's essentially the Spanish David Moyes,
right?
Which is not surprising, as James said. He's out of work. He won't cost us anything. I'd imagine when Tim Steidten even mentioned to Sullivan about Amorim and his kind of substantial release clause, I would think Sullivan's arse puckered up tighter than a snare drum. he just won't want to pay out that money for a manager. He hates doing it. He wants someone who's out of work essentially, and he fits the bill. It's a worry because there's absolutely no way that Steiten wants Lopetegui here. No way in hell would he choose him. But Sullivan seems to be pushing for it, and ultimately, I guess Sullivan is the main man. And if he gets his way here, is there a worry that this could cause Tim Steidten to say, "Well, look, what's the point in me being here if I can't do my job?" And you're going to like force this manager on us.
That is it. That's what you're saying, mate. Is literally spot on. I've been saying this for ages, Tommy. Like honestly, I really have. I'm tired, mate. I keep saying it. Yeah. The problem is and always will be David Sullivan. As I've always said, David Moyes is an employee. You can take him out of the equation. But when you've got an owner who does not have any ambition whatsoever and who's content to stay in the Premier League, that to me is a problem to us West Ham fans, because if you want the style of play and you want West Ham to be the old West Ham and West Ham way and all that, I rate that. I really do. But you've also got to want to have progression. Yeah. And Lopetegui is just not it's just not that guy. I'm sorry, he's just not that guy. People are trying to convince themselves that he's the guy. He's not. So
last week, yeah.
Yeah, but do you know what I'm saying? Like this has been going on for 6 months with Moyes, yeah? And you're telling me that they've been looking for managers all around the planet and they've gone for a geezer who's out of work, who's been sitting there not taking no job. That's a cheap appointment, mate. That's a David Sullivan appointment. That's a Pellegrini 2.0 appointment all day. All day. And it's frustrating.
I get what you're saying. I do. I understand it gets but swing it the other way, right? Now, you've been saying for ages that Moyes deserves respect for what he's done, right? Moyes wasn't in work when we took him back the second time. Moyes hadn't had a job since he saved us from relegation after Bilic. Moyes has won us a trophy and got us in Europe. So, and this is my argument to anyone that says, "Oh, we can do better than Moyes." We're thinking, well, we didn't know Moyes would do what Moyes has done.
But there's a standard now, though, Lou.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. If you've got someone in who could carry that standard, like Moyes has set David Moyes has set the standard at West Ham. So now, I think it's open season for any manager. If you go, look, you've got to come in, but you've got to be the standards. I'm not saying I want.
Yeah, but I think, Luke, the difference now is that if we were in the position we're in now, at the time when we were looking for a manager to come in when we hired Moyes, I don't think we maybe would have hired Moyes. I think maybe we would have been looking for something else. I think Moyes has come in and yes, he's steadied the ship and he's done relatively well with us in the league, apart from maybe last season where we struggled. But
he's raised the standard.
European football, so he has raised our standards up from looking over our shoulders, trying to not drop into the Championship. But I don't think we can. We don't need another Moyes now.
No, I'm not saying that.
That part's done.
What I'm trying to get in is the fact that of all the people who could have set our standards, it's been Moyes, who wasn't in work. He didn't have to, he kind of had to set out to prove himself. And I think in a way, I'm not saying I want him. I'm just looking. I'm trying to look at the positives because, like you say, if he's coming, we've got to deal with it, if we like it or not.
There is no positive on this one, Lou. I'm going to be straight with you. Like one thing with me. Not a lot of people like what I say, yeah, but I say everything from the art and I'll say it with fact. Yeah, Lopetegui is just not the guy. Right now, West Ham need a 5-year manager, someone who's young, progressive, who can come in and integrate the youth and bring on this side and bring us up to a standard. Lopetegui's not that guy, mate. Look what I was talking to someone the other day and they was trying to say about what he done at Wolves. He done an okay spell at Wolves. Okay spell. West Ham need better than that. They need better than that now, surely. Do you know what I'm saying? If people are going to say Moyes is a dinosaur, David Moyes, the dinosaur, the fossil, and all this shit, right? What are they going to say about Lopetegui in 2 years? Because he's 57 years old, yeah. He's done okay in his management career, but everywhere he's gone, he's sort of been up and down. This is not the move, mate. I'm not. I don't know if I'm not making myself clear enough. I'm not saying Lopetegui is the answer. What I'm saying is that considering that Moyes has done what he's done with us, I believe that any manager deserves a chance with us, providing we're going to move
I mean, I'm talking more about the style here, because if you want to get someone in who's going to be successful playing the Moyes way, you might as well get someone in like Tuchel, who's a standard up.
But that's an ambitious appointment, though, mate.
It is, but it's not style wise, and that's, I think, a big part of the way West Ham are going now. Is we've got to get away from this defensive counter-attacking football, because that's a massive part of why West Ham fans, certain aspects of West Ham fan base, don't want Moyes, regardless of how many games you win or trophies you win. They don't want to see the football. So you've got to try and encompass a style of football plus winning, and then get a standard out of that.
Yeah, but do you know what it is, though, Lou? I'm going to say this. Over the last 5-6 months, people have been blowing smoke up Slot's arse, Alonso's arse, saying we can go and get Slot, Alonso, Almiron. I knew this was coming for ages, mate. Yeah, because I'm not fucking blind. Yeah, when you have got an owner like David Sullivan, I don't want to make it about him all tonight, because I've got better things to worry about. But I'm going to say this quick: when you've got him, you've got someone cheap. They are always going to go for the cheap option. And listen, what Tommy said just a minute ago, I make him spot on. I do fear now for Steidon, because I know there's going to come a time where Steidon's going to get undermined by Sullivan. It's going to come. It's going to happen. And when that does happen, he's going to walk away. And he's the best thing that's happened to West Ham in recruitment for a long time. Yeah. At the situation right now, so many people have been saying about Alonso, like Slot. We're going to get these class A managers. Not at West Ham under Sullivan, mate. Different owner, different ambition, different style, different future for me. No, I can't be. I know what you're saying, right? And if he does arrive, I will back him to the hill. And I'll be like you. I'll be like, he's here. Well, I've got to back him. But I know if he comes to the club, Lopetegui, just for example, we use him as an example. Yeah. If he comes within 18 months, people will be screaming to get him out, because he's just not the future.
18 months, but I think that's a good, to be 18 months in the Premier League job. I think these days is like, you've got to be doing something good to stay in it for 18 months, because normally within 6 months people are going, well, he hasn't had a win yet. Like I said to you before, when next season comes, there's going to be the knives are going to be out for whoever's manager, because you're going to have the Moyes outs who are looking to, get one over on Moyes and say, look, this is right. We were right all along. We did the new manager. Then the Moyes ins, if he doesn't hit the ground running, be like, oh, we told you we should have kept Moyes, blah blah blah. So it's going to, whoever gets the job is going to be completely, under their knife almost straight away. They're going to.
But I do think. I just want to say this, Lou. Yeah, I do think people are thinking that they're going to be getting better than what they're actually going to get offered. What we want and what we're going to get are two different things. Like what we want and is in Slot, Alonso type managers, and what we're going to get with a Lopetegui, that's a completely different level, mate.
I'll just make this point quickly. I don't know if I'm waffling on or something, but I think Moyes was brilliant up until January 22, and I think our decline has kind of grown since then. We've gone up and down, but mainly down, and now he's a shadow of the manager that he was for me, 100%. And I think there comes a point where in business you have to be cold-hearted sometimes. And
right.
He won the trophy last year, and I think that we had a good start to the season this season and stuff. But he's been in the job longer than most managers are in a job. Like, say, barring so cut off the top 6 and below. Normally, if you don't do well within the first 8 to 10 months, you're gone. They find a new manager or something like that. So Moyes has been in it a while and he's done well. But what I'm trying to get across is that I think if Moyes can do it, like, anyone deserves a chance to do it. And I think Moyes has hit his. I don't think Moyes will do what he's done with West Ham at another club. I don't know why. I think he just come in at the right time and it suited him. It suited both him and the club. And some managers suit clubs. And I'm just saying that for me, I've been chatting from the rooftops, Moyes out, because I've sort of not seen this coming, but I've had to experience this downfall with Moyes. And I think that you're right. If Lopetegui doesn't play attacking football, I don't want him, because there's no point me slagging off the the style of football and then welcoming another guy who plays exactly the same as long as he wins, because to the extent Moyes was doing that at the start of the season and I'm still slagging him off. So I've got no credit there. I just think that, I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to think that if Moyes can do it, not anyone can do it, but if Moyes can do it, a lot of managers out there can do the same, if not better. And there's Lopetegui, Fonseca, all the rest of them. I don't know a great deal. I'm not going to pretend to be educated on them. I've taken a glazed look at them from the outside, because I didn't want Moyes in, and look at what Moyes did. And then, you know, unfortunately, it's gone wrong for the last, you know, year and a half and whatever. But, you know, when he come in, I held my hands up. I said, didn't want you in the first place, didn't want you second time round. And you've proved me wrong. And I'm willing to just basically be proved wrong by the new manager that comes in. So for me personally, I totally get what you're saying, James. I agree with 1,000% agree with you. My point is just that I'm gonna just give everyone, whoever comes in gets a clean slate from me, and see how long that lasts. Might lose patience very quickly.
You know. Jazz, are you worried about some of the noises coming out of the club about how just disjointed it appears to be between Steidten and Sullivan, and that, not surprisingly, they have a kind of completely different outlook on the kind of replacement that they're looking for David Moyes?
I think a lot of human beings, a lot of fans like myself, I mean, we know the track record of Sullivan and the way he manages the club. We know it, but there's always a hope that it might not be like that. But like James said, it's more or less looks like it's happening that way. But the hope always is, as a fan and a human being and an optimist, that maybe things will change. You know, he's getting old. Maybe he's just gonna relax a bit, let someone else really manage. Just that hope is always there. But like the transfer window, like the selection of the manager, what is the point of Tim Steidten being there? What's the point of, does he want a yes man as a manager? You know, so it looks like Sullivan will always, and that's why the transfers, the windows go the way they do. There's always an argument between, well, three people now, isn't it? It's going to be the manager, Sullivan, and Steidten, and the train and the car has to go in the same direction for business and the club to move forward. And looks like, I mean, we don't know who the new manager is going to be yet, but it looks a little bit that, yeah, we're not going to get that young, exciting manager whose best years are ahead of him, really, like a player. So like Amorim, his best years were ahead of him. He's coming into his peak. He was that Mourinho that came to Chelsea in that press conference, shook it all about with the attitude, had the guts and the personality to manage the big names. And Fonseca, what I know about him, he loves control. I don't know if Sullivan is afraid of that, but he's a great communicator, fluent in English, big man, you know, great formation, can change it 6-7 times in the game and stuff like that. Whereas the other guy, Lopetegui, he might have been a half decent manager 10 years ago. So he's had his past. He's like Pellegrini. And the thing with David Moyes, obviously, is he was the right manager when he came in at that time. And then I think when you look at the league form last 2 seasons, it's not been very, very good. So the slide was happening for a while. The trophy came in, that was good. In Europe, we look good, as we know. But I like to look at the league, really. And there's lots of things. The league has been piss poor with United, Chelsea, Newcastle with 15 people out. There's been a good chance. There's no excuse for us not to get Europa last season through the league. And there's no excuse for missing out in Europe this season, again, in 2 pretty poor and pretty open seasons, really. So, I mean, I don't want to say anything 100% till the new manager comes in, but the signs a little bit are there. But the good thing is that by having these interviews and bringing managers around, when the season finishes, hopefully that new manager is going to be in there ASAP to take charge of the window and start looking at players and things like that. And that's the only positive I can think of, because otherwise they would have waited until his contract finished in, I don't know, 2nd week of June or whatever, and then start looking. By then, weeks and days are running out the window. So that's the only positive. But let's see what happens. But it looks like, if they're speaking to Lopetegui, he's past his best, a bit like when they're looking at Rafa, wasn't it? A cheaper option. And the other thing, I don't know what Luke thinks about Lopetegui being out of work since the season started. No one else has really looked at him either, mate. But in the past, he has managed Real Madrid. He has managed the Spain national team and stuff like that. But I think he's past his best a little bit.
I've just said Moyes wasn't employed. You know, I don't think Bilic was employed when we employed him. I don't think, you know, the only one we brought out was, I think, Pellegrini, because he was in China. We had to pay 10 million or whatever it was to get him out, which didn't make sense, really, to be fair. But
I don't think we paid anything. We didn't pay anything for Pellegrini.
We didn't pay no money for Pellegrini. He had his contract, didn't he?
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. It's
I'm just wondering, actually, just before we move on to any other managers, because I know Fonseca as well is linked. Steidten apparently quite likes him. But I'm wondering if there's a possibility that a manager that both Steidten and Sullivan will fall into our laps. And I'm talking about Eddie Howe. I have a suspicion that Newcastle will move on from Eddie Howe at the end of the season. If that happens, I think Steidten would be like, okay, if he's pushing for Lopetegui or whatever his name is, and I really, really, really do not want this guy. But if he wants someone who's out of work and who he actually knows who he is, Eddie Howe is a proven Premier League manager who I think has done a fantastic job at Newcastle. Really good manager. That could be a compromise that would work for both parties. Because Sullivan wouldn't have to pay anything to get him in because he'd be out of contract. And Steidten would probably say, you know what, Eddie Howe, it's a lot better than the Spanish Moyes. So it's possible like that could fall in our laps, which I think would be fun. I mean, James doesn't look particularly pleased.
He's all right, but
he's okay.
He's not,
yeah.
I want Amaron because he's the lick on the pitch, off the pitch. You get me off my seat.
Yeah, well, that's the dream. That's the dream, but that doesn't look likely.
Eddie Howe hasn't got the what shall I say? He hasn't got the. I think he's again. Yeah. I think the Newcastle job has tired him out. I don't think he'll jump into another job straight away if he did get released. I don't know. But
can I ask you, boys? Is it Almiron or no one?
No. Moyes needs to go. Moyes needs to go, but you don't go for get rid of a 61-year-old and then bring in a 57-year-old who's been out of work for a year. Like it just doesn't make no sense.
I'm not saying Lopetegui. I'm just saying anyone.
For me, I'm going to say this. Yeah. Now, 5 months ago, I deal with a lot of sports traders in regards to betting, and they told me about Lopetegui that the link was there in regards of him going and having a sort of discussion with Sullivan about a project in the future at West Ham. Now, when the report came out the other day, I laughed. I pissed myself laughing because I just knew this was coming, right? I don't want Lopetegui here. I think you've got to go for a younger, progressive.
I want younger.
Someone.
With Lopetegui as well, wasn't there some like major controversy at the World Cup between him and Spain and Real Madrid?
Yeah.
Didn't he basically get booted out of the Spanish job?
I think so. Something along that lines, yeah.
No, I think the story was that during the tournament, behind the Spain Federation's back, he started negotiating a contract with Real Madrid, which doesn't look good for the country. And he joined Real Madrid, got a bad name in football. They banned him, didn't want to speak to him, and then the Real Madrid sacked him in 12 weeks after that. So it's a real mess. And there's a mess at Wolves as well. Big disagreement in the back room about buying players. I don't know who's right. I don't know who's wrong. So there's a bit of a shady character there in the back. And I mean, doesn't
that make it a bit weird that Sullivan really wants this guy? Sullivan likes yes men. This guy seems like he's first, like with that, probably within the first month or two, he's going to be up to Sullivan's office giving it fucking that.
But what it is, it's the CV. That's what gives it away with this geezer. Yeah, you look at his CV and you think, wow, he's managed Spain, he's managed Real Madrid, he's managed Seville, he's won trophies. It's another Pellegrini-esque like type manager. Now, what Lou said just a minute ago, is it Almiron or no one? No, Moyes needs to go, right? Because for the whole sake of the fan base, Moyes needs to say goodbye, thank you very much, thanks for coming. What we need to do, in my opinion, is go after a younger manager who's up and coming. Right, have a year of like transition. Like even if we finish 12th, and we're going to start sort of working toward a project for the near future. A bit like Arteta was when he went to Arsenal. No one knew Arteta. Yeah, Arsenal took the risk on him, and now they're fighting for the Premier League. That's what West Ham should do. Yeah, if you're not prepared to go out and pay big money for Almiron and all that, go and find someone out there who is a young up and coming manager and work with them in a 5-year plan. It's like it's simple. Like with Lopetegui, it's not 5 years, is it?
I get what you mean, but you're also saying, James, that we need to keep to a standard. So
we do need to keep to a standard, but you've also got to have a future, don't you? And at the minute, we don't even know. Like if Lopetegui comes in, what's the future really? Like really, honestly, like where would you say if Lopetegui comes in? What are you expecting from him?
I'm open to anything, mate.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're open to anything with Lopetegui, now I'll throw a name out there, for example, Kieran McKenna, Ipswich, doing very, very well. He got a promotion in League One. They look like they could get promoted to the Premier League. That is a manager that won't be at Ipswich in the next 2 to 4 years. Yeah, I think he'll take Ipswich up, and then people will look at him and see how he gets on in the Premier League. If they do, obviously go up in the Premier League. Obviously, people mention Company, people mention other managers, but you've got to go with a manager that fits the times now. If you're going to get rid of Moyes, which is the right thing to do, you've got to go with a standard there. And you've got to go with a manager that fits today's football, not 10 years ago. And Lopetegui's just not that guy, mate. I really,
once again, James, you're proven right about Sullivan. That, I mean, this whole Lopetegui stuff, I mean, talk about not having your fucking finger on the pulse. Talk about not having a clue about your own fan base. He either doesn't have a clue or he just doesn't give a fuck. Because
he don't, mate.
I think with Lopetegui, I think the playing style, as far as I know, it's all right. It's all right. But it's all about, if you grab someone a bit young who's kind of only going to be in his second, third job, playing the right West Ham way, good coaching philosophy, very well, good communicator, the players bond with him, and he's going to be motivated. I think it's like Alan Pardew when he came in; it was his second job after Reading, and I'll go back to Luke's point as well. All we want is 2 years out of a manager. That's about the cycle, and I think if we can get on that train for 2 years and then keep progressing, that'll be good. Whereas with Lopetegui, I don't know how much motivation and hunger for money. I don't know.
If you're looking for that kind of guy, then we go for Will Still. Because Will Still be then in his second job. He's had other jobs, but this has been his main job. I've been crying at Will Still for ages for a number of reasons. I hold my hands up. I've watched Reams a few times, Reams, however you pronounce them, and I haven't been blown away. But what he's done, like almost like you can say about like Moyes, like what he's done, like results wise, where he's gotten to what they look like now. Where they want to almost like compete for Europe in the French league, consistently. That's what he's got them to. I haven't been blown away by the way they play. I've watched them go, and it's not what I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be like really passing, possession based, or stuff. They haven't been. But he's a fast-growing manager. He's bilingual. He all the players know not to tread.
But the ceiling, though, Lou, is high with him. The ceiling's not high with Lopetegui. The ceiling's there.
Yeah, so to go with
Sullivan's not going to go near him. He's not going to go near him. He's said he's too inexperienced for me. He's on the other side of the scale, and he's not even the young managers I'm talking about. Will Still is what is he, 30? I don't even know what he's 36, 37.
31, I think.
He's very young.
Sullivan. Yeah, he's not going to touch him.
I'm just saying, as we're fans and as we're talking here with our opinions, literally the guy you're describing, Jazz, would be Will Still. And I would love.
Where are they in the league, Rems? Do you know, like top?
I think they're mid-table to fifth. I'll have a look now.
I think they're definitely in the top 10.
Okay.
The last 2 years they've been going for Champions League. They've been like a couple of weeks. They've been like 3 points away from it. So they've beaten PSG or drew with PSG. I think
they're 10th. I think 10th.
They had Balogun from Arsenal, and he was like worth 50 million when he was playing for them because he was like the one who's getting all the goals. And then Arsenal decided to cash in, send to Monaco instead. Here he is.
Big dog.
Go to sleep. The kids are crying.
Have you got breaking news or something, Anton?
No. I was just listening to a little bit, and I thought I'd just jump on. It's an interesting convo, isn't it?
All right. Yeah, it is an interesting one. What's your take on it? I mean, I'm a bit worried about where this is headed, to be completely honest, Anton. Sullivan sticking his snout in the trough again, just can't mind his own business. I mean, he really needs to let Tim Steidten do his job, and it appears that he's clashing with him already over the new manager.
The thing is, though, does it really surprise you, though? I mean, but really, when you think about it, does it really surprise you? That's always been my concern. That's always been my problem with. Look, you can go way back in the group chat from 5-6 years ago about what I was saying, and I'm not the only one, and we're all probably on the same wavelength when it comes to the owners of West Ham. I'm heavily concerned the fact that he is the head of the club who will essentially make the decisions at the end of the day. My only saving grace is Tim Steidten in terms of, if he's still there, he must be there for a reason. So I don't think he'll sit back and just let Sully do it. But the problem we have is if Sully hands the reins over, he's never done that before. And if he does it, you know, what does that mean in terms of if Sully interferes like he normally does, then will Tim stay? So you always remember that you hear that comment that people got pissed off about, which was the grass was always greener. My opinion of that wasn't related to Moyes. My opinion of that was related to Sully. Because with Sully in charge, I'm always fearful at this club. I am. I really, genuinely, I genuinely am.
I mean, he just seems to want someone who he doesn't have to pay for, frankly. Just someone on the cheap. It's disgraceful, frankly, because the worry now is that if he forces Lopetegui on us, you would worry, Anton, would you not, that Tim Steidten would just throw his hat out and say, look, what's the point in me being here if you won't let me do my job?
Yeah, someone said in our group chat as well, look, wasn't it? It was like, it felt like Pellegrini 2.0. But Jazz, I heard what you said. Like, I think Lopetegui possibly he's definitely a different-ish type manager than what we've currently got. I think he got pissed off at the lack of support at Wolves. I thought he brought them on reasonably well, obviously different to what Gary O'Neill's doing, but it's just not the vision that we as fans, especially the ones that, you know, wanted Moyes out longer than the others, have probably envisaged. And it does feel like
maybe 10 years ago, isn't it, Anton? Maybe 10 years ago, I would have been fine with it. I would have been fine with it.
With him. I think a lot. It kind of feels like a lot of us are looking for this kind of up and coming European manager that, you know, that you see a lot of teams doing. You know, someone's going to have to take Alonso and give him a chance, and De Zerbi and all that sort of stuff. You know, but I listen. Fuck knows. I don't know what's going to happen. But my concern comes.
Who would you like? I mean, just to ask Anton, while we've got you on, who would you like to see? I mean, I suppose Amorim is maybe the dream. You know, the one where you shoot for the stars, because we're either going to get Amorim now or probably never. So, and even to get him now would probably be difficult. But if he's not possible,
Fonseca maybe. He's the other one that's a possible shout. I mean, what's interesting is a lot of people are, you know, since we've had the link of Vincent Kompany, I mean, listen, it's going to be like this between now and the decision making, or, you know, between the decision being made. We're going to hear, I think Russ has got a count of 20 managers we're linked to. It's fucking ridiculous. But the thing is, people shoot down Vincent Kompany, but the only difference between Vincent Kompany, Fonseca, and the other guy is Kompany's at least got Premier League experience as well. You know, that's the only saving potential thing for him, and working with a bigger budget, possibly. I don't know. But I think the two names, Amorim, the one you said there, Tommy, you know, shooting for the stars, working with that kind of system, the system he plays, and the kind of forward thinking and used to working in that format with a sporting or technical director. But who knows, mate? I mean, we could be starting the season.
Yeah, but Anton, with Amorim, this is an amazing chance because we're only up against Bayern Munich for him. No other top team needs him or will go for him. Liverpool have decided something else. Man United, they might, but they're still dilling and dallying. But all the other clubs have got their managers. And
I'm sorry, but if you're going to tell us that it's either us or Bayern Munich win that hands down all day long.
No, yeah, they're in the picture. But don't forget, Luke, don't underestimate the strength of the league, the money in the league. We're in London. It's a huge pool. As you know, Germany. It is. Everyone who's worth anything wants to be in the Premier League as a manager or player.
They do, but not with a team like us, because if we don't make Europe, especially if we don't make Europe, we're just going to be another team in the
Well, listen, Spurs manager, he took over Tottenham. They're not in Europe. You got to do it for 1 year. If you got a bit of balls about you and belief in yourself, it's a challenge, isn't it, to get them back into Europe.
Ambitious owner and all.
I don't think Ange did a top job like Bayern Munich, so I think he was going to pick Tottenham because he was a step up from Celtic to an extent.
Nilesman, don't worry. I mean, he said no to Spurs. It happens in life sometimes. You just got to keep going for the best.
People need to remember as well. Ange wasn't their first choice, second choice, third choice, or potentially fourth choice. He was their fifth choice. Spurs chose Ange on the fact that they were knocked back by 4 managers, so he was their 5th choice manager. and he's came in and he's had to change the whole dynamics of what Spurs have done. But you know, in terms of what you said there, my only other concern is that Amorim, if he has come over, if he has spoke to West Ham, he's probably already clocked. And I've seen that comment there. Bayern are looking to be getting Ragnick. That looks like what they're potentially getting, or our fans are actually dead against that and want Tuchel to stay. The Bayern Munich fans. But for me, the concern will be Amorim, if he has met with Sullivan, he's probably read the room and looked at him and gone, what the fuck am I going to work for you for, mate? Like, what the fuck am I going to... Because I genuinely think though, Jazz, mate, I don't know if any of you, if I was going to say lucky enough or unlucky enough to have met Sullivan, but I can't help it but think that the guy calls bullshit all the time. Like, I genuinely, he's one of those guys that just bullshits you all the time, and you've seen him on the TV, you've seen him in front of the cameras, and I don't know why I got excited. I don't know why I fell into that fucking trap of seeing Amorim getting on that plane, and I was like, oh, he's coming. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I falling for the trap again? The fucking Sully trap.
I agree.
I'll tell you what, because there has been some talk that Amorim flew over, spoke with Steynton, it was quite positive, and then he went to visit Sullivan, and then it all went to shit in a handbasket.
Well, he put a porno on, did he? Put the video on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest. If that's true, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if Sullivan did it on purpose. Because it's not the guy he wants. And, like, if Sullivan... Would you put it past Sullivan to virtually, like, literally just sabotage the whole fucking thing once he gets to meet with Amorim because he wants Lopetegui, or he doesn't want to...
Especially after a 5-2 defeat.
But I tell you what, with Sullivan, he always does it wrong. That when he hears the fan backlash, then he goes back. So it wouldn't surprise me that meeting perhaps didn't go as well. But what he's telling me is the manager, the Sporting Lisbon manager, Ruben, he wants to go. He's definitely going to go. And if Bayern have got their manager as well, the clubs where he can go is getting shorter and shorter. And he's already looking at what we're saying because he's spoken to kind of, what's his name again? Julian, what is it? Can't even pronounce it, Lopetegui. So it wouldn't even surprise me if there's a huge backlash and then he goes back and has another meeting with Amorim and gives him whatever he wants and he's over the board. I wouldn't be surprised with that either. So,
but I do think reality's set in though now. I think people are starting to see the reality of the situation. Obviously, Moyes has to go, don't get me wrong. But when you're seeing Alonso, Slot, Amorim, and now we're getting linked with Potter, Lopetegui, and Fonseca, it's a difference, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like,
yeah, Luke had to pop off. He'll come back if he can, but if not, appreciate it, Luke. Thank you, bud. Are you worried, Anton, that this could cause an actual, potentially, a real rift between Steynton and Sullivan?
I think I'm worried about. Sullivan being there just always gives me that element of fear. I can't help. I've never changed. I've always stated that if I met Nigel, whether you agree with the opinion or not, the one thing he did stand by was the moment we moved from Upton Park to the London Stadium, he was the one that kind of stood outside Upton Park canvassing for fans to actually pay attention to the move, where I was the fan that turned up to Stratford, who went into that sales pitch, who went, this is fucking amazing for this club, who watched that video and Ray Winston's talking to you. And I always say that if I had actually met Nigel earlier and listened actually to the fuller thing, I would have maybe have came round quicker. But my issue with Sullivan came the first season we moved, because the last thing he said on Sky Sports, even though I was at the game against Man United, but he said, do you remember that Sky Sports spent the cameras the whole day at Upton Park? They based themselves from Upton Park that day when we were at the final game at Upton Park, and they were just talking about other teams, but they were based there, and they were taking the cameras around. And then I remember looking at the highlights back after, and they were asking Sullivan, and he was saying, yeah, remember he said, we've put bids in for world-class players. And the bottom ticker line was coming up saying West Ham have made those bid lines. That was when I went.
Was that the interview where he was going on saying, "Oh, we're going to buy a £30 million striker and all this"?
Yeah. And Lacazette, I think it was.
Lacazette and Batshuayi were the two, I think.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with Zaza on loan, and then Nordveit and Gokantor and Fenguli,
Jonathan Calleri,
and stuff like that. And that was the summer where we finished sixth. We finished in the Upton Park year last season, or seventh, sixth or seventh.
Yeah,
We
seventh.
weren't. We just missed Europe.
Yeah.
And we could have pushed on, but we didn't. And then we backed off again, and then we had a chance, and then we could have pushed on again, and we didn't. And then we had a chance this time. We could have pushed on, and we didn't. And I just always think that we sometimes take those steps forward and back. And I know lots of people put the blame out. I can understand why. Fucking hell, man. Some of the games we've watched have been so frustrating, and you just think, God, go at them a bit more, or be that consistent. But the history is in itself with our club, and I fear. Yes, the answer to your question, Tommy. Sorry, a long-winded answer is yes. I fear that there could be issues, and I'm only saying that on the basis of the history that Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just to change angles for a moment, whoever does get the job and is our new manager, I think it may actually be a good thing that we're probably not going to be in Europe next season, because he's going to be coming into the second oldest squad in the league and the thinnest squad in the league. He's going to have some work to do. So it's going to be hard to address both issues in one summer transfer window. So I think if he can concentrate on the Premier League and domestic cups, doesn't have to worry about a European campaign, then the kind of thinness of the squad won't hit so hard. I think he'll be able to have a squad numbers-wise that he'll be able to work with just for the Premier League, whereas he can concentrate on maybe improving, firstly, the quality of the first 11. There'll be certain positions, obviously, he's going to want to look at, probably striker, left winger, maybe a right back, maybe a centre back, whatever it may be. And I think it'll give the new manager a better chance to kind of get it right in the first season. I think it would be very difficult in the current circumstances to come in and have a European campaign while trying to fix kind of the weak areas of the current starting 11 and try and boost the quality of the squad itself in time for, so that we can handle another European campaign. So I think the new manager will have a chance, whoever it is, to just improve the first 11. The bench will be okay. Maybe you'll promote a couple of youngsters to the bench, start giving them some minutes. Also, we're going to lose some players, so going to have to get a few in. So I think, James, the new manager, whoever it is, will at least have a year's grace. He can use next season to try and finish as high up in the league as possible, try to qualify us for Europe again. And if he can do that, then next summer he can start thinking about, okay, I'm going to make sure I have the squad strength required for a European campaign.
Yeah, listen, I understand what you're saying, but with Steiden here, at least you've got someone who knows how to go and find talent. Like, you've only got to look at Mo and Alvarez for them to be players who've come in and done a job. So in the summer, it's a major rebuilding job. We need a centre forward, we need a couple of centre halves. But I've not got any worries with that. I really haven't. Obviously, the manager side of things, we've got to find a manager that fits the players. And obviously, we need to know who the manager is before we can go and get the players. So it's a major rebuilding thing in the summer. But with Steiden here, and with the recruitment of his brother, and obviously the data analyst geezer from Werder Bremen, then we've got half a chance to find some talent all around Europe. And it proves it with Bayer Leverkusen, just as an example. They don't spend mega money, but they've gone out and found some really, really good players, and that's what we need to do. So it's not about how much you spend, it's basically finding talent for cheap and turn them into gems, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting few weeks and summer, really, to see what direction the club takes as regards the new manager and incoming players and who we allowed to leave. There'll be some decisions for the new manager. I mean, we've got players that are out on loan. Freddie Potts, by the way, well done, mate. Absolutely brilliant. He's been voted Wycombe Wanderers fans player of the year at Wycombe. So that's an incredible achievement for a youngster on loan at a club. He's done absolutely brilliantly there. So it would be lovely if he featured somewhat in the squad next season. Ben Johnson's situation obviously still up in the air. We'll have to see what happens when the new manager comes in there. Mubama has not signed a new contract. And apparently, Jazz, this has become quite the feature with a lot of our youth players who are currently refusing to sign a new contract until they're sure that Moyes is not going to be here next season, which is a sad state of affairs to be in.
Yeah, I think I've always said about the youth players is that definitely, I'm not saying, certainly the ones that have left, they've not really done much, to be fair. You know who they are. But I've always said that I want to see them starting at least between 5 and 10 games to have a look at them. You know, there's no harm in it. There were many, many games this season that David Moyes could have done that. He didn't do it. Doesn't look very good. But that's just part of the story, really, with David Moyes. You're not going to realize how bad the squad is till he leaves. Then you're going to see, obviously, so many people's contracts are up in the air. Fabianski, Creswell, many people like that. Johnson, again, one of them. Then I think it's Zuma the year after. It's the second oldest team in the league. Yeah, second oldest team in the league. Squad of 13. I'll call it a squad of 13. That's all he wants to use, really. Nobody else. And it's going to be hard, mate. But I just want this season to end, and I want the new manager thing to be decided quickly, and let's start again and get on with it. And I can hopefully go back to going to more games and things. I just want this nightmare to end. It's been a painful, I call it painful this season, but in the league last season was really painful as well. The Conference Trophy helped a large bit to kind of cover that, but don't forget we've been struggling or not doing as well as we should have done for the last 2 seasons now. And with the amount of players we got in there in terms of the value, should have done a lot better. But I just wanted to ask Anton, because I don't get a lot of chance to chat to you, mate. Why do you think we didn't sign anyone in January? I'm not going to count Calvin Phillips as a signing. Why didn't we not go in for that striker, the left winger, the young guy to help out the back four? I mean, the money, as far as I know, Anton, the Declan Rice money, that was largely, that's all we've spent in the summer. We've still got, you know, the 50, 60, 70 that the board always used to pull up before we had the likes of Rice to sell, mate. But I don't know what you've been hearing, mate, off the ground, in the ground.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm quite cautious. I'm quite cautious of all the information that, you know.
Yeah.
Russ has said it, like, we get emails daily from people.
Yeah.
The same people, and again, like, it's not picky and choosy, but we try and with any of the information. We're not ITKs, don't want to be ITKs, right? So there you go, put it out there. Don't have any fucking interest in it, right? But fair play to the people that get the news and do what they want to do. But I don't know, mate. I don't know why they didn't do it. Moyes historically works with a small squad. Historically, I don't know if that's a good enough excuse, and that shows his naivety in not just working with a small squad, because there's been games like the European games we've played in that we could have been doing with fresh legs. You know, when I was watching that second half, for example, against Leverkusen, and he started to bring Max Cornet on, and I think from the moment that Max Cornet was ready to the moment he came on, it was something like 12 minutes. But they were just not in a rush to bring him on. He had something like 8 minutes at the end.
Yeah, he came on the 86th minute, I think. And then if you remember
like,
Tottenham game.
But he was ready, mate. He was ready to go. And Moyes was just like edging again. But I don't know why he didn't make those moves. I mean, I'm looking at the squad right now, and I know there's been so many videos talking about it. But again, when you look at it, and if you look at our defense, and there's what, 2, 4, 6, there's 9 players there, and I'm looking at 6 of those players, and I'm thinking, you ain't good enough, or you're leaving. Genuinely,
I picked 3.
There's also decisions to be. There's decisions to be made for the new manager with Ben Rama coming back from loan. Flynn Downs is only out on loan. You know, so Freddie Potts coming back from loan, had a great season.
Kera's out on loan.
You know, Kera is on loan. So, you know, there's a lot of decisions to be made as regards the squad. Plus, you know, we've got youngsters whose time, you know, really is either going to come or they're going to have to be moved on. You know, people like Earthy, can he get his chance? Mubama, can he get his chance? Freddie Potts coming back, can he get a chance? You know, Ollie Scarles, left back, you know, if Cresswell leaves, will he be understudy to Emerson? I think there's an opportunity for the new manager to absolutely strengthen the first 11, but also to actually have a decent bench with some youngsters there who look incredibly promising. I don't know what's going to happen with Marshall. Maybe still a bit too soon for him. I think we need to find a proper loan club for him that will actually work for him, where he'll actually get a season of experience.
That was something we did hear about the Marshall loan, which was it seemed to be that it was orchestrated more by his party than it was by West Ham. Usually West Ham have a strong involvement. That's why when you look at Kadew's at Wickham, Potts is at Wickham, Forson's gone down to League One. Quite a lot of the younger players have gone down to that level. But his dad is quite active on social media, and was, I think, as rightly so, you would be buzzing if your son signed a long-term professional contract. But the rumor has it that they themselves, that party, orchestrated the Championship move to the West Brom, and I don't necessarily think the club were 100% behind it, but I don't think they could really do anything about it.
Yeah, well, let's really come back to bite them.
100%.
And it was no good for Marshall. Oh, and I'm trying to hug the show. So we'll touch on maybe Liverpool tomorrow. Obviously, I suppose it's a good time to play them, given their form as well. I mean, they're not going well. They don't look like themselves. Were really unimpressive against Everton, it has to be said. Everton completely outfought them and outplayed them in that game. Now, we obviously don't have a great record in these games, but I think under Moyes, I think we've been much better in these kinds of games at home than we have been away from home. I touched on it earlier, Anton, and obviously it's the thumbnail. Despite Liverpool's lack of form, and seemingly it's the good time to be playing them, are you worried that our players are just not motivated at this point, given we're out of Europe? Europe looks like it's gone. 4 games to play. Doesn't seem like much to play for really left, realistically, at this point. The manager's on the way out the door. Plus, there's the fatigue that we have to take into account. We were absolutely horrific at Selhurst Park. So despite Liverpool's vulnerability, do you feel any kind of optimism going into this game tomorrow?
I feel so optimistic. I didn't even know the fucking time of the kickoff until about 10 minutes ago. I actually thought it was on Sunday as well. I didn't realise it was tomorrow at 12:30. Normally I'm on the ball with that. So that maybe shows you the level of optimism. And when you said what you said about the thumbnail and Russ created it, I was like, it's so right, because during the last couple of games, it has felt like the players have been on the beach, and I've definitely been in pre-season mode or whatever. But listen, I come with the level of optimism as a West Ham fan. That drives Luke insane as much as he loves it. But I am optimistic, and I have to be optimistic because that's how I am built. That's how I work. That's how I get through a day, is by trying to lean on the level of optimism. Yeah, there is a part of me that's a bit like, oh, well, do you know what? We all know this. This is the game where we could win 1 or 2-0 or be fucking smashed 6-0. I don't think there's an in-between in this game, particularly coming the end of the season. But the only saving grace is a couple of things. Liverpool aren't playing that well, and the league is a bit wild in certain areas of the league. You know, you can't, between West Ham, Chelsea, Man United, everyone challenging for that kind of European spot, Newcastle, the scores are wild. Forget the top 4 for a minute. Forget the bottom. Just look at that challenge for Europe. You know, everyone can beat everyone at any stage in this season. Like, nobody would have predicted West Ham would have been so shit against Crystal Palace, let alone the fact that nobody would have predicted Newcastle would have been so shit against Crystal Palace. You know, and then Man United, it's just all over the place. So there's an incentive there to a certain extent. It's a hard task, and it's a mountain that we need to climb to try and qualify for Europe. But I hope they react. We're at home. The crowd will be on our side. It's a tough one, isn't it? What about yous?
Luke?
Yeah, it's probably the best time to play them with, their form.
Is it the best time to play us, though, from their perspective?
Probably, but then to their mind, it's probably the best time to play Everton, and they still lost 2-0 to Everton. So this fixture actually has kind of, like, I'm not going to say emotional, but for me, it was the last game under Moyes where I think we were at our best under Moyes. The 3-2 win at home, when Zuma got the winner, and the 3-2. we were playing our best football. We looked dominant. We were confident. We made Liverpool, scared of their own shadow at times in that game. And apart from maybe, I think Sevilla at home and Lyon away, we haven't looked that confident, dominant, good since. We may have got a few good results here and there, but I mean consistently. Like, you didn't worry about us at all. You didn't worry about the defence. You didn't worry about us in midfield. You knew that if we were in counter attack or if we were a set piece, we were dangerous. And that's what's frustrating me. That's. I'm telling you now. Flashback to that game, and I would have given Moyes a 10-year contract there and then. That was how much I was like. I was commenting every post saying, "What a manager! Look how he's changed the team. We look amazing." We were just we were. That was probably the best, apart from maybe the Payet season. That was the best I've seen West Ham ever in my life. And we were on the right trajectory. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was because Ogbonna got an injury in that game and had to come off. I believe, if I remember correctly.
ACL.
Yeah, I think he was the rock. I think he proved that he was the rock that held that team, given the core. And then when he went, we never looked the same. I don't think we ever have looked the same at the back, and that started the downfall. For me, I know Dawson come in, and Dawson was brilliant. Done really well, but we just weren't a team. The nucleus, the glue that was our club at that point, wasn't the same, and that was for me the height of Moyes' reign. Flashback to now, and we're almost back to square one, to where we were when Moyes first took over. Just where the feeling is around the club. I don't think anyone's probably going to be that confident given the last few games, but it's 12:30. We're at home. Liverpool aren't. They're feeling the pressure because they're probably at the title race, but they're still going to want to finish top four, whatever you want to call it. So I'm not confident, but I'm just looking forward to seeing a game of football. Basically, what will be. If we beat them, we beat them. If we draw, we draw. If we lose, we lose. Hope we don't get beaten like we did against Palace. But like we said, like James said earlier, we better rest. We were absolutely fucking knackered for me after the Leverkusen game. I'm letting them off for it. Don't care. That's just my opinion. I'm just is what it is. Move on. So yeah.
Hopeful rather than optimistic, I would say.
Yeah. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Jazz. Are you hopeful as well for tomorrow? Optimistic for tomorrow, or like me? I'll be honest. Are you really worried that since we got knocked out of Europe, that the players they're tired, probably fed up a bit, and the heads are just not where we need them to be right now? Or do you think we'll see a reaction tomorrow from the players?
Yeah, before I go into it, I agree with Luke. That Liverpool 3-2 game will always be my memory as my favourite game, being in the ground. That was amazing. I hate Liverpool because a lot of my family are Liverpool, and I was buzzing. I was flying that night. And if I'm right, Luke, that's back to the good old days of Saturday kickoffs, wasn't it? If I'm right, I think it was a Saturday kickoff.
5:30.
Yeah. A lovely journey home. Lots of rum on the way, as you know, and back. Great night. A bit like the Chelsea game with them, the winner from
3-2.
Yarmolenko.
That's Marku.
Yeah. Don't know how that went in, but yeah, I was flying down the stairs then, I remember. But yeah, good memories, Luke. Good memories. Tomorrow, 3-1 to Liverpool. I think they're not going to play well. Don't forget, they hit the post and the bar numerous times again. Everton, it just wouldn't go in. They weren't that bad. I mean, it just wouldn't go in, and I can't see them carrying on this run. And Klopp, I mean, they're going to have a bit of pride and a bit of thing for him. I know they're not going to perhaps win the league, but I don't think they'll carry on. I think they've got a lot of firepower, even though it hasn't been on fire recently. So I think Salah, Nunez, I think Jota's more or less playing recently, last couple of games, I think, and they got all kinds of other players. So 3-1 to Liverpool. And don't forget, gentlemen, that for a good while now, we literally run out of gas after about 60 minutes. It's a huge handicap. We can be all right when we're on it up to 55, 60 minutes. But after that, we got no gas left. I don't think Antonio is 100% fit or that player anymore. Bowen, I don't think he's fit. I think he's played the last 1 or 2 games being unfit. Paqueta's head isn't the fucking up his arse. A lot of the others are all over the place. And for those reasons, you cannot, like I kept saying, from January onwards, you cannot play every game in the league up to 60 minutes. You can't do it because you got nothing on the. God bless Johnson. He's ready to come on. And the other sub, and I'm like, fucking, I'm not going to get excited about this. We got nothing on the bench. It's absolutely joke. So for those reasons, mate, we Luton, we might get a few points. Nothing from any of the other games, mate. 3-1-2 the Reds.
Sorry, Luke. Just quickly, scoreline. Give us a score.
Do I have to?
No,
we want the scorers and the minutes as well.
Yeah,
you can plead the fifth if you want. It's fine.
I'll if Ariola's not back, then I'll go for what? Oh, I hate doing this. I hate predicting a loss. 4-1 Liverpool.
Yeah,
I hate that. I feel sick.
Yeah.
I feel sick.
I know it's tough, but James, how are you feeling about tomorrow?
It's West Ham way, mate. When West Ham lose, they always bounce back the following week. They've done it against Fulham. When they beat Spurs, done it against Leverkusen to a point in that game where they were smashing Leverkusen to bits after losing to Fulham, and I think they're going to do it again tomorrow. We need Ariola in goal. We need Mavropanos at the back, and then we need that front four in attack, like Antonio, Kudus, Bowen, and Paqueta. If you get all that, we've got half a chance. We're not that bad. Just remember that. Like when they're all fit and firing and they're up for it, we can give anyone a game. And the Liverpool fan I done earlier, he's not convinced. He's not convinced by Liverpool at the minute. He thinks that they were sinking shit. And I think the game on Wednesday is going to be significant because that was an intense game. It was 100 mile an hour. They was trying their hardest to beat their rivals. And 66 hours later, they come to East London and they're going to be playing us. And we've had a fresh week, and all we've done is focus on this game. Now, what Jazz says is true. 60 to 70 minutes, West Ham fall apart and fade and die. But if we can sort of play the game with this mob and sort of get to half time and we're still in the game, second half we could definitely have a go at them. Definitely. Like if we do a bit of in-game management on this one, we can definitely get the win. And I must be mad, but I don't know. I think West Ham might get something, maybe a draw, but I don't think we lose tomorrow. We'll say that.
Go on then. I'll hold your feet to the fire. Give us a scoreline, James.
I don't know why, but I'm going to say 3-2 to West Ham.
Go on, son.
I think there's goals in this game. I do.
Yeah, there's definitely goals.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because we concede. But if the front four are all there and if Bowen's back, because that's a major plus. If he's back, then we've definitely got a chance of doing something. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll go 3-2.
Anton?
Do you want my prediction?
Yeah.
I think we've got. You know what? Optimism. I think we're going to have a chance. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham. I'm going to surprise a few people. It's just the way it is. It's just the way I feel.
Just for the record, I want to tell people that he said that he annoys me with his optimism. He don't. I'm just emotional, and I just get I get moany sometimes, right? Anyone out there goes on all the YouTube channels, right? I would put a hefty bet on Anton being the most positive West Ham fan out there.
They are.
When everyone else is shouting blue murder, it will be out there, whatever the opposite of that is, he'll be doing. And fair play to you, mate. I think it.
Well, there's a fine balance between it. I think I've been not by you, but people in the chat on our channel stuff like that. I've been accused of being a Moyes basher, but people fail to listen sometimes to actually what I'm saying, which is, what I've said all along. I do live in a life of optimism. I can't ramble. I can't go fucking bush when we lose a game. I get angry and I get pissed off, and I have done it that way. But I don't know. I just have the optimism of being at home, and what I mean by that is like I will be confident going into the game, even though there's a part of me going fucking hell. We've just witnessed the Fulham game. We've just witnessed the Crystal Palace game. And that's tough to defend. So nobody can defend it. Mm. So after that, I don't come on and I go, oh, but it's okay. Yeah. Oh, but it's okay. Oh, but it's okay. And I know you're not saying that. I certainly don't, because it was disgraceful. And it really was. And then you can go back and look at the 4-1 Aston Villa, 5-0, 5-1 Liverpool, 6-0 at home to Arsenal, shipping 5 goals to Fulham. 5 goals to Crystal Palace. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, we should not be conceding that amount of goals.
Do you want to hear a horrible statistic?
On the Solly thing, I know that obviously you make a good point where Solly's concerned. James, you've been saying it as well yourself. I think what happens is that the Moyes mist comes over people, including myself, and you could be making the best anti-Sullivan argument ever. But because you're not moaning about Moyes, it's like people don't want to moan about Sullivan. They want to moan about Moyes.
Yeah, but what it is, though,
he gets away with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, people have put their mind firmly on Moyes, yeah, and they took the mind away from Sullivan, yeah. And the thing is, it's not like, as I've always said, he's an employee. He can be changed, yeah. But it's who picks the next employee at the club, yeah, and that is Sullivan. Now, obviously, we're all going to have to wait and see what happens in the future. But Sullivan is always going to be the problem, mate. Like, until he is out the door and down the road, West Ham always going to be like this, up and down, like sort of nature. And what I can't stand, and I really can't stand it, when people say, "Look at Villa, look at Villa, look at Villa." Like, look what they're doing, right? Look at their owners. Like, their owners pay out big money, big wages for bench players who sit on the bench. And like, when you look at their 4 centre halves, they're all 4 top quality centre halves that they've got. Do you know what I'm saying? And when I look at our 4 centre halves, like Angelo Bonner, how much we all love him, he shouldn't be at West Ham. Like, now he should be moved on. We should be bringing an up and coming centre half at the club. But it all goes back to ambition, and it all goes back to where we want to be as fans. Now, as fans of West Ham, I don't expect West Ham to win the league. Yeah, I don't really expect West Ham to be competing for Champions League, but I do expect West Ham to be a top 10 side. I really do, and like that to me is where we should be at. Like, and what Tom was saying earlier about the move, I understand what he was saying about the move, i.e., like going to the stadium and everything else. That's all well and good, yeah. But we've got to have the ambition there, because we're not at Upton Park anymore. We're not that 36,000, 38,000 a week club. We're a 65,000 seater club now with big money and big expectation, and we are a sleeping giant. And I just wish people would go, let's look at the owner now, because he's the main one. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if he does go and appoint a yes man, it's just history repeating itself over again, mate. It really is.
But James, when you look at the money spent, I think we've spent a reasonable amount of money last few windows. The problem has been David Moyes or whoever. There's been a few windows where we haven't bought enough in numbers, but there's players out there that, like, Agurdi's 33 million, Zuma was 32 when he came in, Cornet's 18, 19, 20 million. There's a lot of players out there that haven't got featured enough or not worked out. Kera was again 15, 16 and all that, and Bowen, I mean, I know, right, he's worth a lot. He only came in 15 million. I get that. Paqueta was quite a lot. Kudos and Alvarez. I know there's a bit of Rice money in there as well, but I think, I think the money's been there, but it's just like you said, Sullivan. Yeah, sometimes he might want to buy his own players. I mean, Cornet's one of them. I think, like you said, Ben Rama's probably Sullivan signing as well. Yeah,
but Jazz, do you know how you've got like you've got the outsiders, the people that don't watch West Ham week in and week out, so particularly the media or external fans who watch West Ham, and they turn around and they say, what the fuck are you complaining about, right? And I know that grinds on West Ham fans. I get that. It grinds on me sometimes as well. But then when you start to bring all the stats into the equation, you look at West Ham spending 500 million over the past couple of seasons. It's relatable to the rest of the league, and that frustrates people. But it's very, very true. So we currently sit 7th or 8th on expenditure, and we currently sit 7th or 8th in the league. And Bournemouth, in terms of finances, will not be able to compete with what West Ham will be able to spend because of loads of reasons, but not just the fact that they've got reasonable investors, but their stadium doesn't bring in nowhere near the money and the merchandise and everything else that's on offer. And I'm not trying to give people that education. Nobody needs an education. It's not about that. It's just about the fact that I do hear that argument about the money, but I think it's relative. It relates to, if Man United spend the money and the league gives more money to the club, then we move up that ladder with it. It'd be different if we were in the top 3 spenders of the Premier League and where we're sitting. And that's not me making an excuse for where we're sitting either. It's really not, because I think the frustration from all of us is from the quality of players we've got like for some of that quality, like if you look at the Paquetas, the Kuduses, the Alvarezes, and them, and you think build upon this, like bring in these other players and have a stronger squad, and don't get rid of 2 players that are key to add to your squad and utilize your squad. That's the frustrating part, obviously, which then obviously lies down on the manager, and of course it does. It's a tough one.
So, are you basically saying, Anton, then that West Ham are exactly where they should be in regard to spend to league position currently?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's the way that I would say in terms of the stats. The stats state that West Ham, I believe, are either the 7th or 8th.
£10 there, I think it's £10.
Oh,
last one.
There you go.
$10 there. Archangel, thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. And I will go and look for that previous comment about Lopetegui. I'll see if I can find it, mate. 1 second.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's fine. That's cool. I think we are, in terms of relatable. Yeah, we are sitting in the position in the league. But that and the league looks like borderline the way it looks from the amount of money that's been spent. Give or take a couple of positions from a couple of teams. You can see I think Chelsea, for example, are dramatically different to what their expenditure is. They've spent £1 billion and they sit in the position they're in. So they're I think they're like one of the lost causes of that equation. But I don't know. It's a tough one. Just we've got the man in charge, and I agree with you, Jazz, about we've had many occasions to bring the squad in, but the manager's not going to do it. So we need to have.
I think Anton, for me,
Xabi Alonso, and I'm not trying to say copy him, but look at Xabi Alonso. He's no questions, no qualms about making a sub in the first half. No questions, no qualms about making 2 subs at half time, because they're going to be game changers, make changes in the game. But me and you and us and all sitting there, and the 75 minutes gone, and the team's fucking dying of death, and out in the league, and like, make a fucking substitution. Like, holy shit, make the sub.
I think with me, Anton, it's about the playing style and the management style. That's more. That's what I'm concerned about more. Of course, we're going to lose. It's West Ham. Of course, we're going to do that. For me, it's been about that, mate, more than anything.
I think that only washes though, Jazz. I will say that, yeah. I agree with you to a point, but that would only wash for 1 year. Because then people will go, look at West Ham spending 150, 200 million and then just finishing 11th or something. Do you know what I mean?
But I'm not sure. I think in the past, before Moyes, we've had a lot of managers that try to play good football and we were still struggling. I think this, at the moment, the negativity amongst the fan base now is, I know it's obviously Twitter's much bigger now than what it was 5-10 years ago, but the negativity at the moment and how upset people are is a record levels, and we won the trophy last season. It's odd, but it is what it is, mate. But
and the thing for me is that, look, I don't think, at least the vast majority of West Ham fans, I don't think we have kind of unrealistic expectations. And I've been listening to this in the media a lot, and it's really annoying me because it's not the case. It's not a case that we're saying Moyes has spent this much money and he's been back this much, therefore we should be pushing for the top 4, qualifying for Champions League and all this stuff. It's not easy to do that. It's a very competitive league. There's some very good sides in there. I think realistically, certainly me, I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for any other fans, but I suspect this is quite a widespread opinion. All I expect for the size of club we are and the money that we spend is that we're challenging in the Premier League every year for those European spots. I think that's a reasonable expectation for a club of our size with the money we spend and with the squad that we have and can have if we recruit properly. Could we have the capability with the right manager to do what Villa have done and what this season, what Newcastle did last season in any given season? Yes, that would be possible in any single season. Those things can happen where you just happen to have just a great season. Maybe some other teams around you expected to challenge aren't quite as good as they had hoped they would be. So it's possible that in any given season you could have an amazing season, do something like Newcastle did or like Villa doing this season. But I think in general, I think West Ham fans are pretty happy if we've qualified for some form of European football. I think we're definitely in that bracket of team. But I think the main thing for me is that there are lots of managers that could probably manage that at West Ham, right? Have us in that conversation for the European places. I think the thing for me is that we just want to be watchable. We just want the football to be watchable, to be somewhat entertaining, to get off our seat a few times in a game, for it to be fun and entertaining again. And we can have both. You know, we don't have to decide. And for me, it's like, I can't have a manager at this club that brings us away to Leverkusen in the European quarter-final and parks the fucking bus and doesn't lay a glove on him. It's not good enough.
I can understand why you've done that. I can understand why you've done that. The time
it doesn't have to be that way. And I think we just want to be able to go and watch some proper football and not have a manager who at times sets up in an absolutely cowardly fashion. Those tactics in Leverkusen were absolutely cowardly. Parking the bus away at Leverkusen. We had an opportunity to get a good result over there. And that's not good enough. Like, we could have gone there and played a lot better and lost 2-0, but at least we've played a lot better and we've tried to get at them, tried to create some chances, tried to score. I can't have that at the club. I'm sorry. And it's happened too many times. And for someone who's supposedly a good defensive manager, we concede a ridiculous amount of goals. We've conceded 3 or more goals this season, more often than we've kept a clean sheet. It's not good enough. I don't care what the position in the table says. We are 8th. Whoopie-doo. We fucking should at a minimum be up in those kinds of spaces. We should be challenging up in that area, but we can't keep getting tonked by teams. We can't concede the amount of goals we've conceded, and we can't go and park the fucking bus in huge games and play terrified of teams that we can probably match largely. You all saw the first half at home against Leverkusen. We had them absolutely rattled. The only reason we couldn't keep it going is because of fatigue. Another problem with Moyes, that he likes a small squad and he likes to flog the same players until they're completely fucked towards the latter stages of the season. It's got to stop. A new manager needs to come in who's going to play a better brand of football, who's not going to want to use 13 or 14 players all fucking season, and is going to actually set us up in a way, away from home, against the likes of Liverpool, away in Leverkusen in the European game, who's not going to be fucking terrified and try and park the bus and see if we can't get ourselves a little 0-0, and maybe if we're lucky we can nick something on a set piece. It's not good enough for the money we spend, for the size of club we are. We need to do better. And I think that's what fans want to see. I know it's what I want to see. We're not going to get that with Moyes. And that's before I even get into the fact that he has absolutely no interest in youth players, no matter how good they are or how promising they appear to be. He uses them when it suits him at his convenience. He has no interest in coaching them properly or developing them into potential future first teamers. I'm done with him. I want him gone now. I'd sack him. I'd have sacked him after the Palace game, frankly. That was an absolute disgrace. And that was a disgrace on the back of that disgrace away from home against Leverkusen. I'm done with it. I want better than this. It's not that I want us to go win the league or qualify for Champions League every season. I want us to be in the top half, challenging strongly for Europe, and do it in the right fashion. That's my opinion.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. And what you said is pretty much spot on. But then people can't keep saying, look at Villa, look at Villa, look at Villa. Because what it is with Villa, they've got the whole package. They've got the football, they've got the manager, they've got the ambition. We've got none. We've got no football, we haven't got the manager, and we haven't got the ambition. So when people say about, I just want to see a better brand of football, I understand that, but that will only wash for a certain amount of time, Tommy. It really will. Because then people will be going, well, we're spending out 40, 50, 60 million pounds and we're finishing 11th. That, like, it ain't going to cut it.
Well, yeah, bottom half of the table won't cut it, absolutely.
Yeah, right. So you have to have a standard of saying, right, this is what we want, and it has to be a whole package. Do you know what I'm saying? And Villa and what Villa have been doing is the right way of doing it. They've gone out and got the ambitious manager that everyone said they couldn't do, and they did. They pumped a lot of money into that club in regards of talent, and they've got ambition. And them three factors canter to being a successful team. At present, I don't see that with West Ham. I really don't. Like what you're saying about Moyes, I understand it, and we do need a freshener. But the problem is that what you're going to be given isn't going to match of what the ambition of what we all want. If that makes sense.
Not if
I think
Sullivan's the manager.
if you look at the league table, there's 20 clubs in the Premier League. Top of my head, there must be 2 that play the way we do. Well, West Ham and one other club. It's no other team plays like we do.
I don't think anyone plays like we do.
No,
to be honest with you,
it's
not this season.
bad.
And that's the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, I can hold my hands up because I've supported Moyes mostly through the season, but as things have gone on, I was one of those fans that was going, well, do you know what? If we're going to keep him, then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The only thing I didn't agree with was the core of abuse and the name calling of fucking wishing he was dead and shit like that. I have no interest in that shit. I didn't like any of that, but that's just stupid social media shit. But what I do think is that I can hold my hands up and go, do you know what? There is a time and a place where we need to make a change, and I agree. Absolutely, it is now. It is now. I'm totally game for a fresh change. I've not been just thinking that now. I've been thinking that for a little while, but not as long as what some people here are have been hoping for with regards to Moyes. And I think the majority of people are ready for a change. Absolutely, but we have to be very mindful as West Ham fans that when this change comes, and again, you don't need me to tell you that because of the big rebuild we've got coming, because there is a big rebuild coming, that we're going to have to be a little bit patient with that and patient with the next boss that comes in, and that might mean that we finish in the bottom 10, and then so be it. If it means that we do that and we push on, and then we push on, but I think we're ready for the change, and I do agree. Like I'm err on the side of caution when it comes to a new manager coming in because it has to be the right fit, and as long as Sullivan stays out, then let like we said, let Tim do the job, let Mark Noble do the job, and build around the players that we know that are going to stay there. Again, that's the other fearful thing though, because if it is a shit atmosphere, if the players are feeling like shit, I did a video the other day saying batten down the hatches and be prepared because we're going to receive some bids for our players, even ones we don't want to leave. And if big clubs come in with big money and those heads turn, we've got a big task to keep them in. So I don't think keeping Moyes at the club is what's going to keep them there. I think it's bringing someone new with ambition. Is going to make players like Kudus want to stay, Alvarez want to stay.
I agree on this 100%.
And
think
that, you know what, let's build now what we've got. We've got Tim in charge, we've got a new boss, we've got a new direction, all that sort of stuff. So I'll hold my hand up and say I've supported him along this journey, but it's not worked out dramatically. I think the first nail in the coffin for me was the Fulham one. Actually, that's a lie. The Liverpool League Cup was the one, because I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we not going at them? And then the Fulham one was maybe the kind of final one for me, where I was like, that's fucking bad. I'm ready.
What you just said there, Anton, is fucking spot on. It really is spot on.
Before you go on, James, listen, I've got to pop off. I've got to go. Do you want to finish it up, Anton, and you can take it from here?
Yes, mate, if you want. Yep.
Where are you going? Where are you going, Tommy?
Some of us have to be up in the morning. Listen, thanks everyone for jumping on.
Tommy's got milk the cow. You got milk the cows, haven't you, Tommy?
Yeah, you got me. All right, cheers, boys. It's been good.
Take care, man.
Take care.
Bye.
What I was saying is that what you just said there is the appointment now has to be a marquee signing as in manager styling to keep the players here to a point. This is a worry. I'm not going to lie.
No, but the problem is, even if we get an okay manager, we're all happy with it. Sullivan is going to keep interfering in the transfers. I can see it. Being honest, it's a great wishful thinking, and I'm positive sometimes. And Anton, I had this. I got all melancholy after those December results we had, and I thought David Moyes is going to sign a striker. He's going to change the style, buy it, that kind of thing. He's got a job here for life. He'll go upstairs in a couple of years, and he just didn't buy anyone in January. And then we know where we stand now. Bit of stubbornness on his behalf, because I think the board gave him a lot of backing, and the job was his. And just needed that cherry on the cake, wasn't it, Anton? The team was there, the foundation was there. Just buy 2-3 really good, attractive players, especially up front, focal point.
But I think it goes further back than that as well, Jazz. It probably goes back 4 or 5 transfer windows, because I don't know if it might have gotten us over a line, but I don't know if it would have been sustainable with the current squad we've got, and that's the issue. Is, you look at the average age of that group, and that's massive concern. And I don't know who it was said there, like Ogbonna, Creswell. I can't believe that we played the last game and the 2 of them are still featuring, with all due respect, to them, but I still can't believe that they're still featuring, because like you could look back 9 years ago and they were featuring, and 9 years later they're still featuring, and one of them's had a really career-threatening injury and has bounced back and should only really be your backup worst case scenario. I don't know why we gave him a contract, but anyway, it is what it is, and I don't understand it, and I'll never understand it. But do you know what? The only thing I'll say is, when I think it's going to be when Moyes leaves, I will respect him. He's given me 3 mental years as a West Ham fan, exciting times that I've never experienced in my life. So
what are you going to say? He's giving me 3 kids. Then I thought, what's going on here?
But I think I'll. It'll be a respect from me, and I don't think he's. I don't think there's going to be any animosity, because at the end of the day, as much as he pisses us off, everyone knows what style of manager he is.
Yeah,
He has never ever fucking hidden away from his style of management. And he will look. He is a statistician. He will look at the stats and he'll go for the rest of his career, and it might frustrate people, but he's not wrong. He'll go, I've given this club this. I've given that. Because look, you put it in the comments. You put it in our chat, the thing. It was an egotistical thing he did with TNT. But what he's actually, it is egotistical, but what he's saying is true. But it comes across like that. Of course it does. But at the end of the day, like he will walk away. He'll get my respect. And it's time. He's taken West Ham to where he can take us to. And I still think he'll leave on no, I don't think it will be the worst disrespect to a manager ever. I think there'll be an element of respect.
It could depend on how the last 4 games go as well.
Unless we get absolutely fucking done in, then I agree with you. Yeah.
He deserves respect, though. Like, one thing I will say is that I respect the geezer, because for me, I think he's the best Premier League manager West Ham's had, as inconsistent. Like, I don't see any other manager that's come to the club and sort of made us to a standard. Do you know what I mean? West Ham, before we arrived, were a laughing stock under Pellegrini, having Roberto in goal and just a shambles, yeah. And he comes in and sorts us out. And the journey we've been on, when people take a step back in a few months' time, or in a year's time, or a few years' time, and they sort of look at their moments like Seville, like Lyon, like Prague, they will remember their moments and they'll think, you know what, yeah, they were good times. Obviously, the next manager has to better what Moyes has done, though. And that is the problem. Like, he has to go up, he has to go to a standard now and go, I've got to do better or the same as what Moyes has done. And that's what we should expect.
Well, we've been called out in the comments for not pulling comments up, so I'll do it. But I'll start off with Nigel, because he likes to put a little pop in. He loves it. He loves a bit of banter. Bit contentious, but should fans that watch mainly on TV have a right to complain about the way we play?
Yeah, I think anyone does who watches us play, because they're still technically watching us. They're still technically watching us, and if you're a fan and you have an opinion that we could be doing better than what we're doing, I think you are, you're entitled to your opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Not maybe the people who go there regularly, home and away, and pay tickets have got more of a valid opinion. I don't know, but I don't want to get involved in all that.
West Ham's not built on 65,000. That's the answer to that question. West Ham's got millions of supporters all around the world. So some geezer in Australia gets up and watches West Ham. He's no different to the geezer sitting in Rose Ed. So for me, everyone should be a collective. Do you know what I'm saying? West Ham's not built on 65,000 fans week in, week out. We're bigger than that, and that's how it should be. The style's got to get better, obviously, but it is what it is.
We're bigger than 60. Sorry, Jones, it's a bit harsh.
What Nigel said. He's on the wind up. I can tell he's on the wind up.
Yeah. That's his opinion. That's his opinion, but I think that's harsh.
I don't agree with him, but he's on the wind.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like all opinions, and especially Nigel's one of them. Especially Anton, they explain their opinions, which is great. And you mustn't forget, there's a lot of, I'll say 60-70% of the fans in the ground, they don't watch YouTube channels. They don't watch West Ham. They're not on Twitter, and they're fairly old school and not in a disrespectful.
I don't know what you're talking about, Chaz. I sign autographs every time I'm down. I'm only joking, mate. I'm fucking joking. I'm genuinely fucking joking, buddy.
No. They're kind of experienced fans, and they do have a melancholy and more reasonable, stable outlook on everything, and they're happy with things. They're okay with it. So you mustn't forget that it's just people like me and James. We're on YouTube, and 90% of YouTube is mental like us, like shouting around and getting
also every fan is different. You know, we had. I don't know him personally. I think I met him once quickly at the weekend. He's been on here a couple of times. Alex, I think he does his own show, doesn't he? Now, I don't know if Madam, but he said something like, "I don't care how West Ham play as long as they win." And that's fine. If that's what you want from West Ham, that works out for you, that's 100. Well, I think that I said this before. We have a problem. I think it's a life problem. It's not just a football problem. It's a life problem where we can't respect when someone else has a different opinion to us. So if you're sitting next to a guy who just wants to see us play good football regardless of the result, and the person next to him just wants to see a win regardless of how we play, you don't normally get both of them going, shaking hands, going, "Fair enough, mate, fair enough," and then they watch the game together. You get going, "What? You want that? You stupid?" Or the other person goes, "Oh, you're an idiot for wanting that." There's a constant barrage of we have to agree with each other. We don't.
But you can't. The argument is with that, Lou. When you are right in what you're saying, is that when people have been bringing up the 450 million, the style of play, like come next season with a new manager, there's money going to be spent. So there's going to have to be a standard set, like as in like. People have got to keep going on about sort of this is Stratford era now. This is not Upton Park era. Upton Park era,
I know you're going to say,
yeah. Upton Park era, we could accept like good football because we was never competing for anything. Like I see what Nigel said in the chat there about fifth in the league, once in about 25 years. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not being funny or nothing. West Ham are a big club. We need to start acting like a big club.
The only thing I would say is I don't think that we've had good football since Village, last season, the bowling. I think Pellegrini tried to play it. I don't think we've got it from Village in the first season back. I personally think the football we played under Moyes in COVID was the best football I've seen since that last season, the bowling. Because the main reason why I'm Moyes out is because I'm frustrated with him. I think I think he could be doing better than he is. I think he lets himself down by being scared at certain times or not bothered or whatever. But I don't think we've seen good entertaining football for a lot of times throughout history. I think we might see it for half an hour during a game, but we might see it for a few games in a season. But it's not something that I don't think when people say, "Oh, West Ham play good football and lose," I don't think that's a consistent argument. I don't think we have played a lot of good football. It's not as if every time we play good football we lose, and every time we play shit we win. It's just not. I don't think it's that black and white. I think we played good football under Moyes, we played bad football under Moyes. We've lost and drawn, respectively. I think under Pellegrini was the same. Sometimes we played good football, sometimes we played bad football. The results aren't correspondent with how we played. I think we would just look at it as a black and white status and go, well, West Ham have played good football, or they like seeing good football, but they're a yo-yo club. And then suddenly we play bad football, which we didn't. And this is the short memories thing people say, is that Moyes comes in as a defensive manager. Yeah, we defended well early on under Moyes, but we also played good football with attacking wise just as well. We were just as good in attack as we were in defence. That's why we got to where we were in the league. That's why we got into Europe for the first time round. That's why Lingard come in and hit the ground running, because he got the free roll and he could do what he liked, scoring goals, etc. So it's not something like we've always played shit defensive football since Moyes has come in. We haven't. It's a complete fallacy. So I think it's there needs to be a standard set. And like you say, James, is that sort of like do whatever play you got to play, play whatever system or style you want as long as you win, because that's the standard we've got to meet. And I totally understand that, but I don't think we have to just play a certain style to get those wins. I think and to get where we are in the league, I think we can play a mixture. Sometimes play defensive, sometimes play. If we have to go and shithouse to win against someone we need to shithouse to win because that gets the right result against them, and that's one game in 5 or something like that. And then fair enough, but to do it consistently and a lot of time against teams that we don't need to play like that again, that's where the frustration comes in. You know, at home to a team that's mid-table or fighting relegation and acting like we're more scared of them than they are of us. I mean, that's a complete. I don't want to see that. I never want to see that. I've got more faith in the team. I think we have better players and done a lot of West Ham teams in the past. And you know, you've got players like Kudus, Paqueta, Bowen. I think you should be utilising them to their full capacity and not worrying so much about other things. But
I think
I just call bullshit on the whole argument of play football and lose and play shit football and win. I don't think it's that black and white.
I do think when people say about can people complain when they're not going to the ground, I think that's such a low opinion from people and that, like, because like at the end of the day there could be Joe Bloggs who lives in Australia. Like, I use Alan Dunn for example. Alan Dunn in the chat there is from Australia, gets up and watches West Ham. Lee, who's in the chat there from the US of A, gets up and watches West Ham. They're no different to me who's 15 minutes from the ground. Like all we are is West Ham fans, and whether you live like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from the ground, or you live thousands of miles away, everyone's got an opinion on how they want to play. Yeah, I just think there's a bit of like snobbery in that regard. Because I go to the ground consistently, I've got a bigger right than you. Well, you haven't, like, because some people have been going for many years and choose not to go. So,
I'll tell you something funny, James. When I used to go to the games, I used to watch less of it in the ground than when I'm at home. When I'm in the ground, I get put off. I start chatting to people 20 minutes in the stairs.
Yeah, you're drinking your rum.
In the pub. Yeah, no, totally, 100%. I know exactly where you're coming from. You miss something.
And then most of the time in the ground, because I was sitting in Billy Bond's upper stand, I asked my son, like, who scored? Who was it? I can't see. Who was it? Too far away. I don't know what's happened. Yeah, that happens a lot in the ground, so you don't see that.
Yeah, it's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one thing, Luke. Like, in lockdown, it was really, really good football. We were nearly qualified for Champions League. Do you think, like, that time we had Stuart Pearce, Alan Irvine, Nevin as coaches, and they've all gone now? Do you think that's had an effect where Moyes has gone even more that way of playing that we don't like?
The way that Warburton has spoken out, the way Stuart Pearce has spoken out, they've all, I think, even to the point where players like Dawson, they don't want to be at the club, they want to move closer to their families. I'm sorry, but if you're a footballer, you play wherever. When you retire, that's when you spend time with your family. You don't hear many times of a footballer going, I'm adamant, I'm moving now. Because we're in the Premier League, we're in Europe. Why would you want to leave that? Because you want to be closer to your family. It hardly ever happens. But players want to play where they play.
It has happened to us before, actually, in the past. Did it not? Was it David Unsworth? Did he not?
Right.
Who did he? Did he not sign for Aston? Everton?
He did. Yeah, he got homesick.
Yeah.
He got homesick.
He got homesick.
And
he instantly signed again. Like, there are some players that are like that, genuinely. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Maybe Dawson's a minority thing, and I'm probably clutching at straws, but there probably is something to do with
fucking wind up. I know him inside out. Nice, I know you, mate. I know you.
I like Nige, so I'm not biting to him. I'm just saying my opinion. It's always, mate. All right. Yeah, there could be. I think a lot of things have come out since Lingard left about not getting him back, and there's been a lot of things said that apparently, Moyes put on a pedestal and Noble wasn't having it and stuff like that. There's a lot. This is what I'm saying. There's not been early doors in COVID. We were brilliant, fantastic, and then it slowly, after January 22 got worse.
What I was really impressed with was, if you remember that Leicester game where we started to play the three centre backs with Creswell on the left side, Kufalmo was a wing back, and we whipped. It all started from that Leicester. Even I think it was the ground. We whipped it on the Sunday. Yeah,
the game Villa at home, Villa away.
Yeah,
Lingard's debut when he put Ben Johnson and Sufal on the right.
Yeah,
and it was like a tactical. That's the thing I loved about him. That's the thing.
He hasn't changed this the last 2 years. Nothing's been changed.
That's the thing. I think Moyes was a tactical genius then to do something like that, and to not kind of want to recreate it or do anything like it over the last couple of years. That's what frustrates me, because I'm thinking, is it because of the has pulled something out of left field? Not many people would have thought to do something like that, and basically doesn't do it anymore. I don't know if it is a coach's influence saying, look, Dave, this game I recommend you do this, and he's done it on their recommendation. Then because they've recommended it, and it's not his idea, he's got that's right for this game, but I ain't doing it all the time. Don't have to do it all the time. Just do it for the games that need it. And he doesn't seem to be that. So I don't know. Maybe it's to do with the coaches. I don't know. I don't pretend to be an expert that every Premier League club out there, has changes in coaches all the time. Maybe they do. I don't know about it, but there just seems to we have a revolving door for a couple of seasons or 3 seasons, coaches that turned up, were here for 6 months to a year, and then won out. Stuart Pearce was on that Tippy Tappy podcast the other day and was talking Moyes up, but still at the same time never really answered as to why he wanted to leave. But he said, "Oh, I'm travelling long distances," but maybe he had the same thing, that he was homesick. I don't know, but I don't really buy it. Everyone's homesick, because you wouldn't take the job in the first place. But then, that's what I'm saying. I'm just disappointed in him, because he was, to me, he was best thing since sliced bread. He wasn't more side to me. And as time's gone on, I've just seen him as a shadow of himself. And I just thought he should have gone after the trophy win, because it wasn't going to get any better for him. That was my main point with him, where he was at the club. So he was good. He's not good anymore, and we need a fresh start. That's where I'm at.
I think we can all agree that's probably happening. However, it is West Ham, and we've got David Sullivan in charge. So it'll be next year's team will be Antonio starting up top, Fabianski in goal, Creswell at left back, Ogbonna centre back with Zuma, who will have a knee brace on. We need to get Tommy and everyone to come back and do a squad of who should stay and who should go, because honestly, it's so scary when you look through that squad. Genuinely,
I only picked 3 players, Anton, because I'm assuming Paqueta's not going to be here. I didn't count him. There's only 3, and you know which 3 they are. That's about it. From me, it's frightening. Yeah, bloody hell.
Yeah, it really is. It is quite a frightening look at. I mean, obviously, there's players there that we would want to go or probably think will go that won't go. That's just the nature of how it works. But the squad doesn't look great. So whoever comes in has got a big rebuild, and that's why I've always thought, like, there's part of me that respects, to see the Bayern Munich situation with Tommy Tuchel, where they kind of agreed early doors, like, listen, he's not going to be here come the end of the season. But that looks like that could have bit them in the arse, because I think the fans want him to stay, and there's a strong possibility he could stay. So if West Ham, my big thing again comes down to Sullivan is read the room. They never seem to read the room. They never seem to read the West Ham fans. They never seem to never have done, and never seem to get the West Ham fans. So communicate with us. That's sometimes all we ever ask for. That, that's everything you could have. There's things that could have been different over the years if they had communicated better with the fans. We always hear this about other owners of other clubs, that they communicate or they give something back to the fans. It's not about asking for free shit, but essentially, though, if you do travel at home and away, or particularly away, like, put some flags down on the seats, give people a token to go and get a beer, give them a token to go and get them a pie. Like, reward them in some way or another, but they don't do it, and they've never communicated with us to keep us in the loop. And I'm not saying they need to tell us absolutely everything, but sometimes it helps to put things to bed, because it creates a hysteria, and football fans have got that hysteria that creates a fucking an atmosphere or a problem or whatever, and that's where I think they have never received and never dealt with that their messaging properly, and that's the frustrating thing. And sorry, we're coming to an end here, but now just saying here, what if Moyes actually stays? And people have to remember that could be an option. I know people might get fucking annoyed at that, but that genuinely could be an option, because
Do you think he would stay?
Well, if he gets us to Europe, mate, I mean, why would he want to go?
If he thinks his position is being what's the word?
Untenable, isn't it?
Not respected, and he goes, do you know what? 4 games.
Yeah, but with all due respect, though, do you think his position now is different to what his position was?
No, but they're talking to managers now all week. It's been manager this, manager that, manager this, manager that.
But mate, he'll know the way that Sullivan is, mate. He said it in that video himself. He's not stupid. He knows he's in full control. Genuinely, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. He has stayed from the start. He said it out in videos out loud. If they don't want me, so
What
be it.
happens? What happens, Anton, if that does happen though?
What if he stays?
He stays, yeah. Because
I think there's only one way he stays personally, and that is Europe. And I'm not saying if we qualify for Europe he stays. I'm just saying that you know, if he is going to stay, the thing that will make him stay would be Europe. But I'm not saying if we get Europe he'll stay. I'm just saying if he doesn't get Europe, then I don't see him staying, because I don't see the point. And then Europe, then it becomes 10% harder to make to get rid of him. I'm not saying it's 100% harder. I'm just saying it's 10% harder. It's like if we won the Europa League, then you couldn't argue against keeping him. You couldn't, but we have.
No, I'd have accepted him then.
But the only thing I will say with that, though, Anton, is obviously last year after Prague, Sullivan comes out and says about rights on TalkSport, but he won't come out and mention anything about Moyes now. Yeah, why is it that he's going to wear his contract down and then go to offer him a new one? That's like, it just makes no sense to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Why have you dragged us through this for the last 9 months? And then in the end, which it could happen, it really could. I doubt it, but it could happen. It wouldn't surprise me with Sullivan if he can't go and get the right manager that he wants. And let's be honest, Moyes is a bit of a yes man as it is. It's easy to appoint him again and give him another 2 years rather than, go and get someone else. But is that right? Is that right, the way we've been treated as fans in the last sort of 9 months by the owner?
Well, no, because I don't think we've ever been treated right, really, to be fair, in terms of the communication levels. Communication is so key, man, in everything in life. Like in a fucking relationship and with your kids, with your work colleagues, whatever you do, communication is massive. And if you own a club and you've got fans who create that, I know people go on about the corporate and stuff like that, but we are still a massive part of that. I think then the communication has got to be key. And we've never had that. And there was one particular time, or a couple of times, I've named them, but there was one time after we got rid of was it when he got rid of Moyes and brought Pellegrini in?
Who was the manager?
It was when he got rid of Pellegrini and brought Moyes back. He released a statement onto the West Ham website, and it came from Sullivan. And he kind of turned it round on the fans by going, "But you're the ones that wanted that new manager. You're the ones that wanted those players." He said that in that statement, and I was like, "You fucking dickhead. You dickhead. Like, that's not the right message. The message should have been, we chose the manager, we got it wrong, and we held our hands up and went, Moyes, do you know what? Come on back." But he just doesn't message it. It just,
Wasn't Moyes the manager the first time round when we had that? The fans went nuts at the Burnley game. Was David Moyes the manager? Was he? Or?
Billich. Was it Moyes?
Yes, Moyes.
It wasn't Billich. It wasn't Billich.
Because people were saying that he was going to send us down, and he managed to keep us up. I remember the game, Southampton at home. I think it was. That was the game where we had to win. Otherwise, we was like destined for the drop basically, and we won the game. And Atovic scored, and Yao Mario. Yeah. So, do you know what I mean?
That's what I could cross to that Atovic. Yeah.
But who knows, mate? Yeah, we'll probably end up with Steve Cooper. I never want to go.
Oh, mate! Oh, bloody hell! Yeah, I know.
Remember, Moyes has said he'll make his mind up at the end of the season. Club talking, they can say, is just diligence in case he chooses to go. It's a valid point as well. He did say that. He did.
The contract's on the table. We haven't got around to discussing it, he said, didn't he, Anton? And same as Sam Allardyce on that tippy-tappy saying, I'm the one who walked away from a great job, not the other way around. And a bloody hell, mate. Yeah.
I go back. I mean, listen, let's go back to the time where West Ham were about to sign Martin O'Neill as a manager. Who remembers that?
Yeah, Evan Grant was the season. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Karen Brady, I believe, that actually shot herself in the foot by, was it releasing it in a... Again, I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. It was put it out in a newspaper article.
Yeah,
and then he was like,
the Arsenal game.
"What the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing?"
It was after the Arsenal game at home. I'll never forget it. It was in the middle to end of January. We lost the game 3-1, and it come out that Grant was going to go and Martin O'Neill was going to come to the club, but he got leaked to the press, and then Martin O'Neill said no, he backed away, and then obviously they stuck with Grant, and that was it.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
But that comes from the owners, though. There's another example again of the actions. I mean, I could give you another one. What was the lad we were? William Carvalho from, was it Lisbon at the time?
Yeah.
The midfielder, and the famous email that he sent to the owner, and the owner was like, fuck, and then sent the email out to everyone.
You've only got to even look at it as recent as the January window. Like, look at the last final hour.
There,
like the final hour, like when Ben Rama and Fornells were, they were trying to keep him at the club, and even that happened. So, listen, as I say, the ownership of this club, mate, all of them to a point. I tell you what, Kadinsky, people not Kadinsky, but Kadinsky is the one who did bring Steiden. Like, he's the one who sort of pushed to get Steiden here. And so you couldn't give him some sort of benefit of that. But Sullivan just does what he does, doesn't he? He doesn't change.
He does. Listen, loads of people are starting to put the predictions in, so just may as well put your predictions in the chat. We'll run through them quickly before we head, because I need to go to bed. I said to my wife I was going to bed 45 minutes ago, and I'm like, I'm obviously not. And I've got to be up early, and I'm just going to be fucked again in the morning. Anyway, where are we? So, Jazz, you think you're predicting a 3-2 West Ham win? James, you're predicting a 6-1 West Ham win. Look, you're predicting a 7-1 West Ham win.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Get your bets on.
Yeah.
Well, predictions from West Ham Network, and then Nigel comes in and says Moyes to stay. Sources close to the club. Hustle Crow says 3-2. Out with says 1-1. Mike Nardini says 2-0 up, lose 3-2. Fucking hell.
Nigel, do you still do the pie and mash, mate? Let me know, because I used to make a couple of trips down there. Let me know, Nigel, if you still do the pie and mash deals, mate. I went all the way there. Yeah, I live on the other side of London, went all that way, picked up, I think it was like a family box of 12 bloody pies and mash and liquor and gravy, all the instructions. My son loved it. Yeah,
I hadn't seen Nigel for a while actually, and I saw him down at Leverkusen game, and I've seen him. Look, I've seen fucking time. Everyone. Did we not? We've seen literally there was like 100 people. It was mental.
I saw him Liverpool Street. He was driving. I was going into the office. He waved at me. I was like, "What?" I was in shock. What's Nigel doing here? Driving around.
Happy Amaret says Desmond 2-0, Bowen and Tati goals. Hustle Crow says 3-2 West Ham. Lawrence Salmon says 4-1 West Ham.
That's more like it. That's more realistic.
Why not? 18-1. There you go. 3-1 Liverpool from Alan Dunn. Hate to say it, but I have to be realistic. Jones says 2-0 West Ham. WHU 58 says 1 each. George Kerr says 5-0 Liverpool win. Holy shit. I can't predict the score because I haven't got a clue what West Ham is going to turn up. I don't think West Ham know what West Ham's going to turn up. Bowen breakdown, no England because Moyes the flogger 7-0. 1-0. There you go. Did any of you want to plug your channels before we head? On you go, Jazz. You still go on.
West Ham Irons channel. Follow Jazz screaming, swearing every weekend. Rum and Coke whiskey. Give it away, it is, mate. And this is for Nigel Carr. Nigel, you remember that, Nigel? There you go. Jazz, follow Jazz on that West Ham Irons channel.
Those baths, man. I remember when I was a cheeky mascot and they took me around the baths, and you hear all the stories about the players. Was it Julian Dix used to, before a game, sit in the West Ham Upton Park changing rooms bath in his boots on before the game. James?
I'll be like Jazz, have rum and coke. Want to follow me on E20, more than welcome to come over and subscribe to my channel.
There you go. Look.
Yeah, a West Ham network. Yeah, we've got a decent amount of people on it, and on the best. So just make sure you subscribe and keep watching, and look out for the longest written articles in the history of the world, because I do lots of waffle on with my articles and all the rest of it. So yeah. Good enough? All right.
I just want to say one thing on that article. Great article you done the other day on Twitter.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
Mate, he's got such a hidden talent. People don't know it, but his writing ability is fucking quality. And we built a website around him, and he does fuck all on it. So
you are winding me up there, because me and you have had arguments about it.
I'm only joking, mate. We're going for a big launch in the summer. Don't worry. So
yeah, no, it's fine. It's, yeah, no, but just read. I do have as much as there is really good feedback on a lot of them. You do get the odds person saying it's too long, didn't read. So I apologise. I don't do my articles in note form because Twitter teaches you how to do that when you've got too many characters. But yeah, I do waffle on. So if anyone falls asleep while they're reading the articles, I do apologise. But yeah, that's nothing I can do about it, really. I've got to learn.
Well, but the whole point of your article, like eventually, like we will switch people. We'll switch that onto the website eventually.
I can't see your face. You just got me on the screen.
I'm just trying to do that.
That's it. That's what I like.
A couple of more comments coming in.
God.
Hustle Crowell, not really Holland like a pick. What's that? Anton, little boy as a mascot, he was taller than half the team. It genuinely was. Yeah, I really was. I looked at the picture the other day and I was the same height as John Barnes. Julian Dix was slightly taller than me and I was the same height as the referee. And I was 12.
You like the Luke Littler of West Ham supporting. just about 10 years older than you are.
Enjoyed this sentence. Oh God, sorry, I don't mean that. Right, lads. Thanks for coming on. This has been the Late Show with Irish Tommy. He was on up until about 30 minutes ago, I think. It's been a pleasure having you on. And we're only 12 hours away from kickoff. So stay positive. And Moyes in. Take it easy. Come on, guys.